Hello everyone, it's your Bud. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Jinyu. Now the Jinyu are a race of humanoid fish-like creatures that live in Pandaria, in the world of Warcraft. They are an elder and wise race, looked up to even by the Pandaren. Masters of the water, they have been known to stick their staffs into rivers and literally hear what the land is saying. The water speakers are an upper caste, spiritual leaders that use the river to listen to the future. And there's also a split-off culture of the Jinyu named the Ankoan. The Ankoan are descended from the Jinyu who left Pandaria long ago to hunt in the depths of the oceans. And the Ankoan are basically this warrior culture that were basically hunted almost to the very extinction, and the few of them that are left remain to fight the Naga in the deep. Now, something you should probably know before we continue any further is that the Jinyu originated from Murlocs. That's right, those funny little beings, the Murlocs, were the ancestors of the Jinyu. And though the Jinyu are wise and proud allies of some of the most noble in the world of Warcraft, it can be very interesting that they came from the Murlocs, and there's a lot of hidden secrets with the Murlocs. Are they really as dumb as people think they are? Or are they, as what's quoted here, smart enough to not let people know how smart they are? So the Jinyu originated from Murlocs, who were fortunate enough to live near the enchanted pools of the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The magic of the pools expanded their minds and grew their bodies until they became one of the great ancient cultures of Pandaria. They worshipped the August Celestials, and in return the spirits offered them the knowledge and guidance. For a time there was peace, and eventually the Temple of the Jade Serpent, particularly later, became sacred to the Jinyu, who now use its scrying pools to serve as their eyes and ears throughout the continent. In the days before the Sundering, legend has it that all rivers flowed to Pandaria. Few were more aware of this than the clever Jinyu. Over time, the wisest of their people learned to commune with the waters of the river and listen for the future and news it would bring. These elders were respected by most races and earned the title of water speakers. The Jinyu also had a written language before the rise of the first Mogu dynasty, though today it is not possible to understand it anymore. So Pandaria is surrounded and shot through with clear blue waters, and it is in these bodies of water that the amphibious Jinyu flourish. In a sense, the Jinyu maintain and cultivate natural water resources, even creating smaller streams with elemental magic. But the Jinyu also exercise dominion over Pandaria's rivers and lakes that can bring them into conflict with other races. They regularly stop up rivers to create their homes and breeding pools, and the multifaceted dwellings they create aren't simple mud lodges, they're towns and camps that can extend beneath the water. Jinyu society is caste-based. Jinyu are chosen for their roles such as warriors or priests at a young age, and final say in all communal decisions is granted to the elder Jinyu in a tribe. While this rigid structure can seem constricting, the elders' roles are often deserved. They can speak and listen to the waters that flow through Pandaria, making them extremely wise and terribly powerful. Eggs are sorted early on based on the needs of the community. Many Jinyu are cast as workers, diligently put to work building dams or other structures. Others are selected to be craftsmen and immediately undergo a rigid apprenticeship on hatching. Only warriors and priests are given access to the most food and finest shelters, and only the most successful of priests can ascend to the role of elder or water speaker. It is a taboo for the Jinyu caste to intermingle, and resourcefulness is a trait admired greatly by the Jinyu. And something really cool about the Jinyu that drew them to me was their ability to use water forging. That's right, water forging. Unlike the fire and heat forges of the Pandaren and Mogu, the Jinyu have mastered the art of water forging. They shape stone and metal by using pressures and currents of water. Originally, they would scavenge for polished stones and materials in the river. They developed an eye for the places that would provide the best quality baubles and rocks. Over the ages, they have learned to manipulate water through their magics to craft exceptional edifices of the rock and stone that defy rivalry. Their weapons and armor are as hard as any forged steel, and their walls often appear to be constructed without seams. So I think that's really, really cool. And also one quick thing, they have water striders. Water striders serve an important role in Jinyu culture, acting as mounts and a means of sending communications and even family pets. So I do really, really like the ability to forge things using water. I think that is sweet. So I really do like these sort of wise fish people that balance the nature and like look after the waters. There's a few other things here, such as their feud with some other races and a few different things that happen throughout the years of Azeroth and things like this. They did have an empire in time. A Jinyu empire emerged. So there's mention of an empire. There was a Jinyu empire, but it fell with most of the others, and eventually they became slaves with many other races at a time, and the Jinyu were enslaved along with the other mortal races of Pandaria. The Jinyu took part in the Pandaren Revolution, listening to the waters to divine where the Mogu would first respond when the rebellion started, and after the revolution they apparently swore allegiance to the Pandaren emperors. So yes, they had an empire. It fell when the Mogu took over, and then eventually they banded themselves with the other mortal races in the revolution, and they sort of came to, and now they're sort of back. So there is a bunch of feud things. There's history with other races. For example, there's one called the Hosen, but I mostly like these people just for their fact that they were Murlocs. I really like Murlocs. They're just so fun and interesting. I really like the body type of the Murloc, the fact that they're amphibian, but they're like strong enough to walk on land, but they can probably jump very far. And the fact that the Murlocs are like too unknown, people just pass them over without really looking at them, but they could be much more than we think they are. And then the Jinyu are Murlocs that lived near a very magical place. What was it called again? It was called the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. So yeah, the Jinyu emerged from Murlocs that lived around the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, and that gave them many powers to able to eye at certain areas of water and know, oh, that area of water will create this type of stone, and then eventually learning to manipulate and create those water flows themselves to make those precious gems. So they didn't even have to wait for nature. They eventually started just by learning what nature was, by being bonded with this magical source, and they would eventually know where the best places to get certain gems and baubles on the islands were. But their power eventually created so much that some of them left the Ankoans. Remember, the Ankoans left into the deep to hunt in the depths of the ocean, and they had more of like a warrior culture. And then the Jinyus that stayed in Pandaria learned to eventually manipulate water to forge things themselves using water forging, using the pressures and currents of the water. I think that's really cool that originally they'd have to scavenge for polished stones, but then eventually they can just create the pressures and the currents that are needed to create those precious stones for themselves and make their weapons and armors as hard as forged steel and without seams. So that's really cool. What did you think about these guys? They have some multiple things. So they were Murlocs, then they turned to the wise Jinyu, and then the wise Jinyu had a warrior culture named the Ankoan, or a hunter culture named the Ankoans, that split off and went into the deep to fight with the Naga. So I'm glad I got to share this with you. I wasn't going to do the video on this today. I was going to do something on something else, but then yeah, I just saw some pictures and I saw the water forging and I thought, oh, okay, that's definitely cool enough to share. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. Leave this video a like if you learned something new and there was something that you enjoyed learning about. So subscribe for daily videos. I make at least one video every single day, and leave any questions or suggestions in the comments below, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching.